So if you don't mind me being out of breath, how about I answer some questions while I'm on my walk? Hello, Eric. I'd love to know your secret for not allowing in the turmoil and chaos swirling all around us. Seems harder and harder to keep a healthy perspective. Oh, such a good question. So one part of my strategy is I heavily edited my social media presence. So I only have TikTok and YouTube. I don't have Facebook. I don't have Instagram. I don't have Snapchat. I don't have anything else. And that really helped. Then with YouTube and TikTok, I don't engage with negative content. Honestly, if it's negative, unless it's like somebody just sharing they're having a rough day. But if it has to do with everything happening in the world, I don't like it, I don't watch it, I don't engage with it. Because I want my feeds to be things that lift me up, that encourage me, that keep me going. Now for some of you, you're saying, well, now you're just sticking your head in the sand, you're not paying attention to what goes on in the world. Not true. So on my Echo Dot in the morning, its morning routine is to give me the headlines of the day. But I don't activate that unless I'm in the right frame of mind for it. And after I've had my tea or coffee for the day. And I listen for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then I stop. So it's not that I don't pay attention to what's going on in the world. I just use very specific channels for that sort of thing. I also do breathing exercises, and all the work I'm doing around self-compassion and working on my obsessive thoughts is also helping me with not letting the outer turmoil in. What are my special interests? My special interest is education, teaching, how children learn. And not data on what other people say about how children learn, but like my students and studying how they learn and how they grow and adapting lessons to fit their unique profiles and what games will engage them. And oh, I love it. My other special interests are thinking philosophically about really anything. Again, I love philosophy, not so much that I memorize philosophers, but I like to learn how to think philosophically about topics and things in life and superheroes and magic and people and spirituality and everything. And probably gonna sound weird, my children are my special interest, right? I kind of very interested in them and their development and how I parent them in a way that helps them nurture and grow and become adults. Poetry, writing poetry. I love writing poetry. Story weaving, which is basically just making up stories on the spot for somebody. I love that. Some of my favorite memories are weaving stories for my children or for my students. And for a very brief time, when I was a Starbucks manager, some of my employees. Anyway, yeah, I love crafting stories and creating them. There's probably more, but this YouTube channel, content creation is becoming a special interest of mine. And then there's a bunch of other things that are like temporary special interests, kind of ADHD style. I'll obsess about it. I'll get really into it, really deep into it for a while. And then I kind of get bored and pick up something else. Mountain biking was that way. Rock climbing was that way. Fencing was that way. I think people covered most of the questions, but I wondered which teas are your favorite and what teas would you recommend to someone who doesn't usually drink tea and whose stomach hurts from fruity teas? Ooh, I just drink black tea, like English breakfast tea and green tea primarily. I will experiment occasionally. Sometimes I'll take an Earl Grey. That's like my third favorite. But if my stomach's not happy, I will usually add milk. It seems to help with the acidity. But again, I don't know your situation, so I don't know that I would recommend anything per se, just because I don't want to recommend something that could injure you or make you sick. Do I have medication side effects that I deal with? Yes. My lupus medication makes my tinnitus worse. Allergy medication makes me tired sometimes. My anxiety medication doesn't really bother me that much anymore. It used to. Pretty much the biggest thing I've noticed since I've been on my meds is that it slowed me down. I don't know how else to say that, but as somebody who has racing thoughts and has ADHD, slowing me down is probably a good thing, actually, at the end of the day. Yeah, I don't really like to discuss medications because I'm not a physician, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medication person, a pharmacist. I'm not a pharmacist, and I'm sure that whenever I mention medications, I just get a bunch of angry anti-medication people telling me that it's all in my head, or I need to eat only vegetables, or I need to eat only meat, or I need to, I don't know, whatever miracle cure that is the rage these days. I shouldn't say it like that. I'm sorry. That was really dismissive and disrespectful. I do believe somebody must have had results on every one of those things. Otherwise, I doubt people would talk about it. But before advice is given, you have to know somebody's whole story. You have to know their traumas. You have to know their neurotype. You have to know there's so much that goes into it, right? We are complex creatures, and there are very few simple one-size-fits-all solutions. That's what I'll say about that. My general bio and life story, that's going to have to be its own video. Favorite thing to do when I want to allow myself a treat. So, I don't know what we're talking about here. We're talking about food, we're talking about activities. All right, so activities, video games. I have a Switch. I like playing Breath of the Wild. I only do side missions. I have abandoned the main quest because it's boring. I don't care to conquer those giant beasts. I just like to explore the world. I like to play Asphalt 9. It's a racing game. And I like to watch YouTube. Getting a new book, even if I don't need it, is nice. Food-wise, really it's getting coffee. It's getting a latte. It's getting a latte and reading a book and a coffee shop. I love that so much. It's such a vibe for me. And then the other thing that's a treat is buying myself things that will make my work or creating life easier. Buying new paintbrushes, buying new paint. I got an easel at a thrift store. Buying a portable monitor for when I'm working. Things like that. I only have so much money, so I can't afford to buy myself all the things. So every now and then, splurging on something that will make my life easier is kind of a treat for me. Kind of boring as well. Name a book that is medicine for your soul. I'm going to name 3. Code of the Samurai, Book of Five Rings, The Tao of Pooh. There are better books out there, I suppose. But those books, it's not just the book itself. It's the other books that reading those books comes to mind. It draws my mind to other things that I've read. And they're really easy for me to understand for whatever reason. Hang on, let me get this tripod set up. All right, there we go. So I'd probably say it's 3. What music would you hear when reading it? So classical music, violins, cello is what I really like when I'm reading or when I need to settle myself down. The Cruella soundtrack is really soothing to me. And so is a lot of work by the piano guys. So I have a playlist called Serotonin, and it's literally music I listen to when I need to experience serotonin. I also have a playlist called Dopamine, Adderall, and Cortisol, which is a playlist for bad days, which you would think it's the music to help me feel better on bad days, but it actually kind of helps me feel worse and then feel better. It's weird, but it really works for me. It's just my strategy. I don't recommend it, but it works for me. Always curious what type of tea I'm drinking. Again, black tea or green tea, most normally. How did I find my therapist? I'm on my fourth therapist. My first therapist I found by searching online. Second therapist found searching online. Third therapist found searching online. Fourth therapist was recommended by my wife and so far is the best one. Do I believe in free will? Do I think everything is predetermined in any sort of way? Ugh. I believe some things are inevitable. I believe that there is a... Did you ever read or watch... Rats. No, I forgot it. I'm sorry. It's this TV show, and it's about psychohistory, and now I can't remember the name of it. But the idea was that you could predict the patterns of nations and events, not so much individual lives, but the big picture. And when you look at historical events and some of the big things that happened and the things that led up to it, you begin to get this sense that if we make enough decisions, then the outcome is almost in a way predetermined, right? If you put your hand on a hot stove, you will get burned, right? Action, consequence. I believe that there is a certain amount of that. I do believe that we still have free will. I believe that I can choose to start this YouTube channel or not. But then at the same time, I could look at all the events that led to me doing this, and it almost feels inevitable. So I don't know. And it's a great question. And one day you and I need to sit down with a cup of coffee or a pot of tea and really hash this out. These are the conversations I love to have, especially if we approach them with curiosity and interest. Now, I know that there are a lot of people who would just have a quick, yes, we have free will, we choose our own destiny, or no, everything is predetermined. That's not a very fun conversation. I'm not saying they're right or wrong. I'm probably wrong all the time, but I love to wonder. I love to wonder. In fact, going back to the special interest, one of my special interests is wondering. I love to wonder and what if and imagine. And most grown-ups don't do that anymore. Most grown-ups just want the answer and they move on, and that's boring to me, but I get it. That's probably the mature thing to do. I guess I'll grow up one day. And if I could only plant one tree, an apple tree, because I love apples. I don't know if that's realistic or not, but that's what I would plant. All right, I'm going to stop here. If I didn't get to your question, I'm sorry. This is the third video I've done on answering the questions, and I love it, and it's very fascinating, and it's fun. I'll probably do another one down the road and give you guys another prompt to ask questions. Thank you so much for all the questions you've given and responses. These are definitely longer videos, and I've definitely rambled in them. So if you've watched all of these, thank you. Give me your feedback. Were these interesting? Were these helpful? Were they boring? Should I keep doing things like this every now and then or never again? This one's up to you guys. I'm only going to do this if you guys want me to. The other videos, you don't have a choice. I'm just going to make what I want to make. Love you guys. Have a great one. That was a weird way to end the video. Goodness gracious.